curious to get the board's sense of the appropriateness of that. So it's, what I think we need is, I think we need a real objective analysis of what are the associated fees, as basically as an educational forum for the board, with no one that has any invested interest in it, so that would exclude Mr. Chan. In terms of what, and I really think it would be educational, it would certainly be, I think, useful for the public and retirees as well, is what do these fees represent? So what is an advisory fee versus a management fee versus a consulting fee? And make sure that everyone knows what the difference is. And I think from the discussions that we had with Mr. Ford from Sonoma County, he felt that we really had a unique way of doing business. And he wasn't necessarily critical of it, but I think that he did show a spotlight on standardization and being able to take the methodologies that are applied here and take them out, and that they needed to be able to be compared to external comparatives to be measured. It's the only way you can really do it. Because I think it's sometimes difficult to see truly what we are paying and what we are paying for. And I think all of us could stay, because I'm sure no one at the table is fully versed in it. If you could describe and be very clear about what an advisory fee is versus a management fee versus a consulting fee, and be able to be clear and in detail on what all those things are, so there's an understanding of where resources go. And I think from the discussions, because I was on the committee that met with Mr. Ford with respect to trying to move the independence discussion along, which we were successful in doing, and I think that was it took some time. I think it took about a year, but I think it worked really well. And we did go in that direction. I think that he did, through those discussions, sort of bring to the surface a number of things that he felt it was important for this board to be knowledgeable about, to actually increase our knowledge base, and that was one of the aspects of the independence function. Not only would staff and our executive director and manager be more challenged and have a bigger job, but the actual members of the board would need to be able to step up more and do more. So that's why I support the concept of going out for an RFP, given the answer to Mr. Huey's question about we've had this individual since the 80s. I just think it's what you do because it's good business to do it. And so you need to put out the RFP, because that in itself can be an educational process for board members to see what really is out there. So in my sense about it, because I am going from, I think Mr. Chan asked for the 10,000, I guess, Kim, you said about a year ago, or I don't know, it's gone. In other words, to go from 10,000 to 16,000, I think I would like to see lots of documentation as to why. And I would prefer to have that discussion after we went through an RFP process, so we can see some comparatives, because I don't feel personally comfortable with the exception of, we've known him a long time and he's asking for the increase. That's all. So I'd like to see why.
Actually, his proposal was based on inflation in his industry. He subscribes to a lot of databases where he gets the information that he uses to compare our investments to the index that is appropriate. And he indicated to me that, I don't recall the name of the company that used to do this, but they were purchased by Morningstar, and immediately doubled the fee that they charge him for the database. So his costs have increased dramatically. He has indicated in the past that he's curtailed the number of systems that he is currently advising because of travel constrictions that he has because of some previous health problems that he had that he's now doing much better on. But we're one of the systems that he wanted to continue working with, and he was going to continue at his regular fee until his expenses went up so much that he couldn't justify it. And we've seen all of the databases that he purchases every quarter. The fees are just, like I say, in one case doubled. Went from, I think it was in the 30,000 a quarter range to 50 some, almost $60,000, and he had to pass the cost along.
And I'm sure that's true. I mean, that's going up everywhere. I mean, it would be comparable to fuel and everything else that we're all facing. But the other thing is that he still has not been able to work in a way to provide the information so we can send it off to SACers, a group we're a member of, so then we don't get to participate in the analysis. And I think that that's a real critical thing. And I think that his own personal bias about it has blocked that process. And you know, he can have any opinion he wants about it, but I think it's data exchange, and it should be put out there, and this system should be able to be compared to all the other systems without us stepping aside because we're unique and special and we know best about what we're doing. I don't think it helps us sort of merge in with the bigger investment picture of other retirement systems to sort of be a player. And I think that is I think that's unfortunate. I think we've asked for that data. I had pushed it before and was told, yeah, we'll get it in next year, but then Mr. Chan always has a reason of why we don't need to be compared to any other system. And I think that's unfortunate.
That's not his basis for not doing it. It's the way they compare it to other systems. And he has pointed out when he's been here that they combine all equities into one large group, and they make a comparison of our returns to everybody else's return, but there is no index of all equities to make a good comparison to. And the other day we had a visit from the new president of SACers. They are going to look at the R.V. Kuhn report and see if they continue doing it, because there's a lot more systems other than this system and Peter Chan who say the information is a waste of time. We're wasting our time having it presented. So they are going to look at that, and it could very well not be presented if it's going to be presented, not being presented the way it's been presented in the past.
Yeah, I was here for that discussion. I think that if other systems can get some value out of it, we can too. And I just don't like the idea that we're sort of sidelined as the smallest system in the 37-Act County. I think that we need to figure out a way to engage with the larger world as it is and step up and do that. And I think there's ways that you can deal with data that you can overcome that. And I would just like to see him make the effort to overcome that. And I still think they'll do a report. They may realize how to do it, but I still think that they'll probably be doing one, because I think it's the systems really seem to value it, and I've always wanted us to be compared to those just for comparative sake. It doesn't answer all your questions. It certainly doesn't help you or necessarily make you change an investment strategy or change your way of doing business, but it's just a comparative that's I think useful. So I was hoping that we would deal with the RFP issue before we dealt with his increase in fees, because I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it. But.
Well, I would look at what I did as a